Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to the Buddhist Biohacker. I cannot believe it is a new year. It is 2021, and we had a little break as a show, and I'm so happy to be back today. And in spite of many technical difficulties, we are here and have made it, and I can't imagine a better start to the new year than being here with Satyam. Welcome back to the show, Satyam.
Oh, wonderful to be here, Lisa. Happy New Year, and thanks for having me back. A great way to start the year.
Oh my gosh, I was so looking forward to this. I don't know if you felt this way, Satyam, but it feels like the dense energy of 2020 really did lift right away. Like, I feel like it really is a whole new year and a whole new fresh energy.
Yeah, absolutely. We're off to a fresh start, and people have, and that's no doubt. And that's a big thing with yoga, that there's always a sense of renewal.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And for everybody who's joining in the live, we'd love to hear where you're from. So please share in the comments where you're from, and welcome. And you can always ask any questions or share your comments in the live. Just a reminder for that. And just some news with Buddhist Biohacker. We are now broadcasting across 15 platforms, which is just incredible. So we are across 5 platforms as a live stream video. And we are on all 10 major audio platforms. So we just found out right at the end of the year that we are on Pandora now, which is awesome. So iTunes, Google Play, Pandora, Spotify, iListen, Alexa, it goes on and on. So you can join us whether it's on audio or video. And we're just so excited to have everybody back. And Satyam, I am so excited about the new year. What do you have to say about New Year's resolutions? I want to dive in and really just start talking about it.
Sure. Yeah, this is it's a funny topic in that a lot of people are, with New Year's resolutions, they can say, oh, what's corny, or what's going on. Resolutions can sometimes get a bad rap, we all learned about them when we were kids or at some point, and people fail or do well with it, or they don't want to hear about it. So I want to first destigmatize it, that we used the term, we called it yoga and New Year's resolutions, not New Year's resolutions or resolutions, because sometimes people are just played out with resolutions. But this is something different, because the whole spirit of yoga is perpetual renewal. And theoretically, every moment, every breath, every occasion, every class, every week is a time to reflect and advance again. And why not use that for the new year as well? And so for those of you who are like, oh no, not another thing on resolutions, just cast that aside and jump in clean here, because it's really a talk about yoga. It's a talk about how our minds work, how we can best utilize our minds, and it's about refinement. Think about resolution as refinement. How can we best refine ourselves physically, psychically, emotionally, spiritually, to be the best of what we are and maximize our potential? And what resolutions you choose, or so-called resolutions, or what choices or selections you make, those are totally personal. We'll go over things that might be universally applicable to a variety of people. But yeah, so it's just think of it as a clean start. And who doesn't like a clean start? It's a way to clear out from the past and to get a bright new walk pathway forward. And so that's really what we're all about here.
Well, that excites me, because I love the new year for that reason. Like, it's like a clean slate. You reset your intentions, you refocus your energy. And one thing I thought was really interesting, Satyam, is the astrology for 2021 is all about discipline and self-discipline. Wow. And one of the things that they've talked about is the way that the planets are lined up, that this year is going to go really, really fast. Like, you're almost going to feel like you're swept off your feet by the wind and like carried away. And so the importance of being grounded and disciplined and focused each and every day, so that you don't lose track of yourself and your time and your goals and your intentions. Oh gosh, it's so loud. But anyways, so I think that's really cool because what you're going to be talking about is that refinement and is that discipline. And I thought it was interesting that this year that's really the astrological focus of the year too.
Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting. And it works very well with our topic because the two basic precepts of yoga are jama and niyama, the first two tenets of Ashtanga yoga, and of yoga code of morality. And they're codes of discipline. That's what they are. So the theme of this year and what you were just discussing, it folds and dovetails beautifully into the whole yogic endeavor and way of life. And so in terms of our topic today, I thought first we would come up with, strategy about how to approach this idea of refinement, what pitfalls there are, and then pathways to success. And so the first thing is selection. What resolution, what refinement, what is it that I want to make? And it shouldn't be done frivolously. One take some time. A person should take time, reflect, and see what speaks to them. Is it something minor? Not to say minor, but is it something more mundane, or is it something really a big meta type of change in their life? So it can be done, and one can have multiple resolutions, some very simple, just related with their physical makeup of their day, and some can be psychic, like I want to be more courageous in my approach to life. How can I do that? And it might be spiritual, like who am I in this universe, or what does it mean that there's a higher power or a universal entity? So it can be whatever is most appealing to you as an individual, as a person. So everyone has freedom on that. There's complete freedom of choice. So that selection should be done. Don't just pick up the one that the next person says, well, I want to, not to minimize weight loss, but to say, okay, I want to lose 4 pounds the first month or something like that. But if that's really what you want, great. But just make it authentic to you. Otherwise, it's not going to come off. You're not going to be, whatever the resolution is, it's not going to manifest unless it's something that's really is within that you've got a good link with.
Yeah, and I want to invite everybody who's watching right now on the live to share your New Year's resolutions. I think Satyam and I want to hear them. Like, absolutely. What is your goal? What are your intentions this year? What is it that you want to accomplish or change? And just share them. I think that'll be fun while we're talking about it.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear what folks are aiming towards. And if they want to hear maybe what the yogic perspective might be to help achieve that, maybe there's something in that. So yeah, it'd be great to hear from folks. Absolutely. And then the other aspect of strategy, so we've got our selection process, something that's authentic, something that's true to yourself, that really interests you. And then we've got this number 2 point is a long Sanskrit word called abhinivesh. And it's like, well, what the heck is that? And in order to get success, we have to understand this quality. And abhinivesh is the idea of the mind's inherent tendency to revert back to a prior habit. And it may be the habit that you're trying to leave. That the mind has that tendency, just like the body has a tendency to come to rest or to be lethargy. You have to overcome that. And this is something to know about. So then there are 2 strategies for overcoming abhinivesh. But a classic thing of abhinivesh is someone can say, I'm going to have a really good food choices in 2021. And sure enough, they drive home from work the first week and they come across the side view. They see Dave's grease ball joint and like, oh, I used to do that all the time. And next thing they know, they find themselves at the front of the line at Dave's Greaseball Palace, and that's not against it. That was not to say that they were insincere in their approach, but they did not guard against this tendency of abhinivesh, the tendency to fall back into old past habits, which happens to just about everybody. I mean, it's happened countless times in my own life. I'm sure other folks have. It happens. Everybody knows that. So the question is how to overcome that, because that's going to be, that pull is going to be there. So how to overcome that inherent pull to backtrack into your past ways. And there's two things. One is channelization. You got to really channelize the mind and focus the mind on where you're headed. That you're not going to Dave's Greaseball Palace. You're going to Rachel's Earth Garden of Eden salad place, or whatever you want to call it, just for kicks. But the idea is that whatever you're aiming for, get the mind goaded in that direction, channelize the mind, and support it with inspiring logic and determination that this is where I'm headed. And then that abhinivesh won't drag at you so much. And then the other, that means the tendency to fall into past bad habits. And the other thing is preparation. Know where Rachel's Earth Balanced Salad place is. Know how to get there. Go there where you're not driving by Dave's Greaseball Palace on the way. Find a way. The main thing is prepare yourself. Whatever it is, fortify yourself ahead of time so that you can be your success. For instance, if there's if you know you're going to get hungry at work and you used to go get some bulk candy bar at the local dispensary, whatever you want to call it, snack vending machine. If you don't go to work with your own snack, you're going to end up eating that candy bar, like it or not. So in the morning, cut up your hummus, your carrot sticks, and pack a little hummus, or do something. So that step of preparation will help you gain success. So those two things, they're pretty straightforward. Channelization of mind towards your goal that you want to achieve. And secondly, a little preparation, a little forethought into how to achieve that.
Satyam, do you count your meditation as part of your preparation? Like, I really wanted to try this year, when I do my morning meditation, to spend some time, with focused concentration on what I want to accomplish, and visualizing what that is and looking at it. Do you do things like that? Like, what is your recommendation to be able to kind of bring that concentrated focus and visualization when you're trying to stay disciplined with something that maybe is hard?
Right. Very excellent point. And this is something I was going to bring up in meditation. Some people will say, well, I don't meditate. And let me just clarify that everybody meditates. The moment you think that you want to get a new job, or that you're going to change your house, or do anything in life, then that starts to sit in the mind. And that's a form of meditation. It may not be the yogic style of meditation, or you may not be sitting in lotus position or whatever. So everyone knows that meditation means harboring idea in the mind. For some people, it may be smoking a cigarette, drinking a cup of coffee, and looking at a mountaintop. And you can't say that that isn't meditation. So everybody should know that what you put in the mind is, to some degree, your meditation. And then when you sit down in a more pointed fashion, concentrated manner, then that's a more refined approach of meditation. And that's typically what we think of as meditation. So I would say on that's a very good one. It's an interesting question. I would say what one's mantra meditation is. What is one's universal approach in their meditation? To stick with that, because that will open the mind beyond our own ideas of what we think we need. For instance, someone may think that a project at work, I'm going to go about it this way. And they may think about that, but if they let go of that idea and meditate and open the mind, when they're done with meditation, they may see it from a whole new angle and say, wait, that's That's better than what I was thinking before. So yes, what I would say to anyone, what you're saying, should you have the idea in mind? Um, should you visualize that ahead of time? Yes, you should. But also in one's own meditation, we should also have time to let go of one's own personal plannings, because that's what meditation is all about, to go beyond the unit self and get an idea that we were not actually cultivating, but maybe better indeed for us by tapping into a more expansive cosmic outlook. So yes, and also give space in your meditation to go beyond one's own personal. We don't want, the main thing is we don't want to tunnel vision ourselves, and it's a tricky balance, to have a very clear vision and at the same time not railroad ourselves into some type of predetermined path and not being open to some type of more expansive way of going about something, or being more creative in there. So yeah, it's one of those yes and no but type of answers. Yes, do that, visualize it ahead of time, and yes, give yourself scope to go beyond your own unit planning and see where that takes you.
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. And I think it's a good reminder what you said about don't forget to allow yourself to be creative outside of whatever kind of box you're putting yourself into. Because it's so easy to say, oh, I want to lose X amount of weight, to go back to that, because that's such an easy New Year's resolution to pick on.
Yeah.
Instead to say, I want to change my physique, or I want to, be stronger. I mean, I think it's important to stay open to what does, in that example directly, what is health and vitality versus just like a set amount of pounds or something. So I think that's a good reminder and that's what meditation does for me, is it helps me see things in a different way. So I think it helps in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what meditation is. It's a shift in outlook, and it gives you a whole new angle on whatever problem or whatever life endeavor you're up to. And yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. And we just want to be able to, create a space for ourselves to move as unencumbered as possible into our new mode. And this idea that, wait a second, I don't need to change. That's not an option. This life is about transformation. And if you don't, you're going to be going the other direction. There's no keeping oneself the same. It doesn't work, because with the passage of time, you're aging, things are happening. This universe is mobile. And so we may as well move towards a path of refinement and give ourselves the best opportunity to achieve success. And in terms of this, there's a little story that one time the monkeys heard, there were a bunch of monkeys, a big whole clan of monkeys, and they were thinking that they had heard that fasting was something really good to do, and it was good for digestion, clear the mind, make a new self. And all the monkeys got together and they said, we're going to do fasting today. Let's fast. And the chief monkey said, okay, let it be the law of the land that on this day the monkeys shall fast. And they all sit there for a few moments. And then one monkey said, I get it. We're going to fast today, but we're going to break fast tomorrow. And doesn't it make sense if we just go around and scoop up our bananas now so we're all ready for breaking fast tomorrow? And the chief monkey said, that's a great idea. So they all went around, they gathered a whole bunch of bananas, and then they decided, let's divide them up ahead of time so everybody's got their own little stash of bananas for when we need to break fast. So then they're all sitting there quiet. They gathered all the bananas. They had a few bananas in front of all of them. And then someone said, why should we wait till tomorrow to peel the banana? That way we'll save time tomorrow. Let's peel it. And the chief monkey said, great idea. That's wonderful. And they all stealing there, and all of them had their first banana peeled. And then one of them said, look, it's peeled. We might as well put it in the mouth now and just hold it there. Don't eat it. Just put it in the mouth. And then when it's the breaking fast day, we'll be ready just to chew and swallow. And so then they took their peeled banana and they all put a banana in the mouth, and they sat there looking at each other. And it was the very start of their fasting day. And within 2 or 3 minutes, they'd all swallowed their banana, and so much for their fasting day. Now, here the point is that you want a proper plan. We're human beings, and all as wonderful as monkeys are, we don't want to get off to a monkey type of start with whatever. You want to give yourself a chance for success, and don't overthink it, don't overplan it like the monkeys did, and that's the basic idea. So one other thing in terms of strategies, we talked about selection, getting one that's true to you. Number 2, this abhinivesh, channelization, preparation, how to overcome that tendency to revert back into old past habits. And the third one is another Sanskrit word, satsang. Sat means good, and good company. You want to give up smoking? Don't hang out with smokers. You want to give up whiskey? Don't go to the bar. You want to, get into a healthy lifestyle? Hang out with a friend who likes to go walking after lunch or after a meal. So hang out with the right people with the right habits, or find a friend who had the old bad habits with you, but is determined to invite that same new habit into life. So satsang, good company, is a big thing for in changing our goals, and our ways of living.
I love that you brought this up, because I know for myself, my satsang is literally my husband and my stepkids, because we can't go anywhere or see anyone.
Yeah.
And so I think there's an interesting thing happening with the community. And what I noticed for myself in 2020 was, part of even what Buddhist Biohacker is about was I wanted to be surrounded by all sorts of light workers and teachers who, were really sharing their gifts and their light, and like-minded people. And I think I started watching other YouTubers and other teachers and healers and light workers, and going to some of your classes and Barry's classes, and, some different things, really surrounding myself with a different energy. And I noticed a huge difference in 2020 for myself, in that I suddenly was sharing a completely different space. And I started to notice some of the community I used to be around that I was like, wow, I don't want to sit and talk about those things, or I'm not aligned with that anymore. And so I think it's so important to, even if it's a virtual community, to be around, like you said, like-minded people who have the same goals. But then how do you deal with the challenges, Satyam, of, now I'm really lucky. My husband and I do share really the same goals, even with health and things. We're in a similar spot. But when you have kids and husbands and spouses and partners and stuff, people that you're living with, maybe people have roommates that don't necessarily align, like, how do you maneuver that? I'm so curious what you think.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head there. That is tough. It's tough. Now, it can also be, I think the first thing is open lines of communication, because you don't want to create alienation in your own house. You want there to be free flow of communication. You want there to be love. You want there to be cordiality. And don't never sell other people short. Think that, oh, well, they'll never go for this, or they won't. Maybe they will. Maybe they will like that idea. And that can really embolden a friendship or a partnership or a marriage or a link with your children. So I would first say, put it out there and let's see. They may surprise you. I mean, you hooked up with them for a reason. You created the family, or you created this living space, or you're involved in this communal living situation. You got there for a reason. So rather than withhold, I would say be forthcoming. And that's something that, I probably challenged with, was a challenge for me at times. I know what I did a lot of times when I was implementing new things. There was a time period in my life where I was moving a lot. And so I always used to use each move as a way to implement new refinements. And it's debatable of how many of those old links I kept with me and how much I didn't maintain, what to say. But communication is good. You want to give everybody a chance to walk forward arm in arm with you. And then if you get to that point where they're like, no, that's not for me, then you got to find some type of peaceful, respectful way of cohabitation. And it happens because people's diets change, people's lifestyle things change during the course of a decade or 2 decades during the, so, it's a work in progress. I don't have a perfect equation for that. I've talked to people, and my own living situation is with pretty much with a yogic. The house was based on a yogic ideal, and so that was the setup. I live with my brother, and sometimes we have another person with us, and it was based on our shared interest in yoga. So that set the baseline. So if you have a theme in your household, that obviously makes it easy or easier. But I've talked to people like one of my cousins, and they essentially run 2 kitchens in their house, and that's difficult, how to do that, because her diet changed quite a bit. So that's a work in progress. But the main thing is, don't shut the door. Keep the lines of communication open. There should be a spirit of sharing and openness. But if anyone's got the magic formula on that, they should let that out of the bottle and get us all, because it's a tough one. It is. There's no doubt about it.
It is. And I think that communication is the magic formula, because you have to be able to express what you need. And I think that is hard for us as human beings to do that. And so practicing emotional intimacy and saying, listen, I really need this space to do this thing, or I need the support to do this thing, even if you're, living differently or eating differently in the same house. We are like that. The kids eat one way and I eat one way, and my husband kind of does whatever works out for everybody. And so, you people in different spaces and you have to make it work. And so it's all about communicating what that looks like and expectations. So I totally agree with you there. Yeah. Totally agree. And we have some really great New Year's resolutions on here. Hope, hi Hope, welcome to the show, Hope. We love you so much. And Hope says she'd like to find ways to connect her shattered glass of energy so she can feel whole again. That's a pretty big New Year's intention. And then Michelle shares she wants to explore different hobbies to discover what she's passionate about creating. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the show, and thank you for sharing. And Derek, welcome also. He says always yoga. So 3 very different intentions, but all good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they're all anything that someone really feels within that's a valid and very meaningful intention or resolution. And we can, those are highly meaningful. And the main thing is that just having that idea in mind is a big point towards getting success in that. And there were a few themes that I heard one. So go ahead, give me Hope's the first one again. What was with the
Yeah, so Hope said, I'd like to find ways to connect my shattered glass of energy so I can feel whole again.
Wow. Yeah. The first thing I would say is carve out a little bit of quiet time in life, a little bit of time to contemplate, and see where that leads you to give yourself some time to meditate, contemplate, reflect, whatever term you want to use, and see if that brings it back together, makes it, starts to bring those shattered pieces back into some cohesive element for them, for Hope. Yeah. But the good thing about that is that that's so open-ended, and it's a very dynamic and universal. There's a lot of, with that type of bigger outlook change, that can bring a lot of small changes along the way, which can really create some momentum. And momentum is a big thing for creating, for renewing, and for finding oneself again, and building one's life whole again, the way as I understand what she wants to achieve. Yeah. And the second one was about creative. Remind me of that one.
Yeah, Michelle says she'd like to explore different hobbies to discover what she's passionate about creating.
That's wonderful. That's great, because sometimes we always want to give ourselves opportunity to reflect on, wait, what am I doing? Am I just walking down the same narrow pathway I've been going, and without exploring this whole gamut, the whole panorama of life and opportunities and chances? And that's great, to give yourself space to come up with other avenues to pursue. Yeah, that's a wonderful way.
I agree. And I wanted to share too, for hope, when you think about, feeling shattered. I've definitely been there where I felt, and it's really funny because I was just talking to a client yesterday about this exact thing, which is just when you feel like you've kind of been blown apart. I'm sure you've been there too, Satyam, where it's like you go through those periods where it's like, I just feel really raw and everything is open. And I want to encourage hope and anybody out there who's feeling that way to actually practice some yoga, because I think when you're in a yoga asana practice, there's something about gaining momentum in your physical strength that I think heals some of that. I feel like for me, when I started to practice more often and I was really getting stronger physically, I felt like I was putting some of those pieces back together. And so that was really helpful for me to do the actual physical practice. And I think that might help you too. So I just wanted to share that also.
No, I absolutely. That's one of the nice things about yoga, is that it's universal. It's designed for every physical body that exists on this planet. And by doing the physical practices, it will help create a mental, it refines the mind. It quiets the mind. It gives you opportunity to reflect. And the other thing I want to say is that there's a word in Sanskrit known as asha. And that word means hope. And hope has an ideal name. I mean, that is one of the most, it's such an integral element for who we are as human beings, because everybody can find themselves in a ditch. I mean, who hasn't? And that sense of hope is what allows us to think that the day will be brighter. The life will get better. I may not see that daylight right now, but it will get there. And that's a very integral part of our individual and collective humanity, that we're going to get there. And I just want to remind Hope, just recite your name a couple times. You've been blessed with a beautiful name, and that will also, remind us that there's there good days are coming, and just keep at it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it. And Hope says, thank you. My delivery of the Artist's Way material should be on their way. So Michelle, who is looking at what she's passionate about creating, you might want to look at the Artist's Way as well. It's a really great book and a great tool to explore your creativity in a new way. So that's pretty awesome what you guys are sharing. Satyam, what's your New Year's resolution?
Oh, wow. Now you caught me off guard. I should have been... I'm
ready.
Yeah, wow. I may have to think on that. But one, I did have some things that I put down on my blog about this. One was, and it's podcasting to get some, but that's something. That's something I do want to have on the calendar for 21 and 2, and here we are. So that's great. But I don't know. I always feel like I can be a better listener, and there's a lot of people who I'm in contact with, and to really exercise patience and judgment before, and means to exercise my own sense of before speaking. That's something I can always work on. It's an ongoing process to really to contemplate and think and hear what someone else is saying, and then so that diet's always one for me. I'm always more raw food, more it's a constant endeavor with diet. Not eat when I'm not hungry, that type of thing. I'm sure there's some other goodies. Fortunately for me, I'm a big work in progress. I mean, I've got loose cannons in all directions. So, there's a lot of things that need work. So I'm sure they'll come to mind more as the day goes on. But yeah, if anything else comes to mind, I'll bring it on.
Well, I love it. I mean, and I'm the same way. I mean, I think for me, my resolutions this year, my intentions this year is to really, continue. I'm really loving production. Like, I love it. I love making the documentaries. I love doing these shows. I'm going to start live streaming yoga if I can get past my technical challenges. So one of my big intentions this year is just to get even better at it, and really begin to understand film in a new way and being able to provide all of this great content to everyone. And then personally, I'm with you on the diet thing. It's like always a work in progress. It doesn't matter what I've given up or how much I've changed over the years. It's really all about, getting better and stronger. And so for me this year, I actually really want to embrace the biohacker part of Buddhist Biohacker. So I started the new year, my husband and I did some functional medicine testing and on ourselves and got the results and took photos and did some measurements and things like that. And I just really want to see how I can support my biology in a new way. So that's kind of my focus for the new year. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be hard work.
Yeah, no, I look forward to hearing about that one. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm so nerdy when it comes to stuff like that. And I've had a whole genome analysis. And so it's like, okay, I intellectually have all the information, but now I need to actually apply it in my physical body and see what really changes, and does my energy change? Does my physical structure change? So I'm interested to see how that goes this year.
Nice. Yeah. And in terms of these changes and doing these things, the yogis say that we've got the greatest tool inherent to all of us, and that's our mind, because the mind will take on the shape and form of whatever we feed it. And so that's it's a big tool. And in terms of the mind, there are two things there are two yogic sutras that relate with our ability to achieve this. One is that the yogis say that mind is the cause of bondage as well as the cause of liberation. And then the yogis also say, number two, that do good things immediately and don't delay. So, and when you combine those things with the idea that whatever you feed the mind will start to appreciate that idea and take that shape and color. It's a very great tool for where by design, we are ready to take on and incorporate new challenges, new pathways, new habits, new endeavors. Where we have that within us, and so in terms of universal aspects of things of resolutions that people might be interested in, we kind of touched on the diet one. Some of the most straightforward ones are things like drinking more water. That can work. Maybe also within the food one is preparing more of one's own food rather than relying on takeout, although no doubt we all want to support the local restaurants that are in difficulty, but there's ways to get creative in the kitchen and maybe supplement with more home cooked foods. And other dietary ones, maybe half-day fastings. So because there's certain things that we all do. One is thinking, meditation, one is our breathing, and one is eating. And so if we work on those foundational pieces in our lives, then that gets us off to a pretty good start. And breathing, meditation, yoga, and we can get into some of the yogic aspects as well, that for those interested in creating a yogic practice in their own day-to-day life, the main thing is to find time, to find a little bit of time in the morning or in the evening or every other day where you're going to dedicate to your yoga practice, or finding a source where you're going to practice with. Either Lisa has classes, or we'll be having classes. I've got classes, but there's a lot of classes out there, maybe in your community. and to either take a class or to come up with ones. Maybe you have a practice that you've pursued in the past, and just create that space and time for that. And it's really about giving yourself the best opportunity to manifest that, to carve out a space in your day to achieve that, to put that together. And other things that people would be interested or might look at, relationships, that's a big one, and the communication in their relationships, and all these are personal, really relate to what's going on in your own, in your world, your universe, and reflecting on those and see how what needs attention, because self-analysis is a key point of being familiar with where you are, being truthful with where you are and where you want to go, what you want to achieve, and having that time to contemplate and reflect on is a big thing. It's just like when you get in your car, you don't just drive off in any direction. You know where you want to go, and you get there step by step. And same thing with the whole process of coming up with resolutions and contemplating how you're going to achieve that.
Yeah, I think the self-inquiry is really important. And sorry, guys, I'm like persevering amongst many technical challenges. Satyam, oh my gosh.
There you go. You're good.
Oh my gosh. But I agree that the self-inquiry is important. You have to be able to really look at yourself at the end of the year and what you want to do differently. I think if you're not willing to see yourself and look at where you might have opportunities to grow, then you're not necessarily going to be focused on the right changes in the new year.
Yeah. No, that's the main thing, is to tap in and look and see, what is the needed thing. And refinement is it's for our welfare, and it's part of our natural way, and that is where we start to get success, where we start to find health, where we start to can progress in life. And one thing also about this is that the yogis are all about healthy competition. There's two types of competition in this world. There's capitalist competition, where the idea is to incorporate and to squash all competition, where there's one survivor. Just like if you ever played the game Monopoly, there's one survivor at the end, everybody else is bankrupt. But then there's healthy competition, where you move ahead and you bring everybody ahead with you. And that's what the yogis are all about. And to achieve that, to partner up with folks with whatever you're after, or even if the people you're not, or join a new community. That's also good. It relates to what we were talking about with satsang earlier on. But healthy competition is a good way. And another way to think of it is that there is so much positive movement going on right now around the world in a variety of pockets. Although we may not like certain main flows of maybe happening in certain realms of life, but there's a lot of positive changes going on. If you just look at what was happening with smoking 40 years ago and where smoking is now, if you look at people's rights and inherent rights in various societies, where they were 50 years ago and where they are now, there's a lot of positive movement going on, and everybody wants to be part of that. And so it's much more interesting and much more dynamic to say that to be part of that than to have to be, someone have to come up and kind of tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, come on. It's much more inspiring to be the one who helps tap others and inspire others to come along the way. And and we do that by renewing ourselves first and then bringing others along with us. So that's another way to look at this idea about self-inquiry, and the idea of not letting the start of the year go by without saying, okay, I'm going to go after these 3, 4 things, or these 4, 5 things, and move towards on that path of refinement with that. So that, that's an important piece as well. Right. But
Satyam, I'm wondering, like, do you have any ways that you set resolutions for the new year? Like, is there anything that you do or that you can recommend to people if they haven't done it, or they want to sit down and look at it differently now that we've talked about it today? Like, what do you do? Like, is there a contemplative process, or like what is your recommendation?
yeah, the first thing is that if you got a blatant blister or a splinter, grab the thing out. If you've got something overt that's not working, whether it be a digestive problem, a broken car, a debt that's got you down, then if there's some throbbing issue in your life, get after that one first. If there's something that really needs addressing, and then because that throbbing issue can sap you of all your energy and creative space, to come up with really more refined things. So first, structurally, is am I in a good safe living position, or am I getting good food? So first, to calculate what's happening. What do I have any major issues that need addressing, that are overbearing on me? I remember one time I was concerned about something. It was something with the government office, and there was a ticket or something. I was concerned. I had fear about it, and I was talking to a friend who had been on the path of yoga for a while, and he said, "This is crazy. Why are you sitting there in fear? Call them up and find out what the problem is." It was some government. I think it was a county agency or something. Call them up. Don't sit there and start your machinations of what you think it might be, and that just the whole mind is going to collapse. You'll sap you of everything. So he said, "I'm not leaving this room until you call them." And so I did, and we made a pathway to clear up what I forget. The issue got so well resolved, I can't even remember what it was. I just remember his advice at that time, which was so important. So the first thing is that if you've got something that's really encumbering the mind, free that mind up. We are mental beings. Free up the mind. That's the first thing. And once you've got that free mind, then you've got that freedom, that creative energy to explore, to examine, talk to interesting people, read a book, watch a podcast, do something that will help spur and incite new things. And you don't know. That's the thing. The main thing is, don't just repeat the old stuff, thinking that you're all set and good, because this whole life is about perpetual recreation. And we have to go from the known to the unknown. And doing the known is all too familiar, but that can be a rut. And so we need to, and that's how we proceed forward, is to open up new pathways. So one is unencumber the mind if the mind is being encumbered in some way, and then get some energy, tap into your courage and step into that. If there's something that you're scared to do or something you're worried about, then get after that one first. Then if you're just in a point of contemplation of kind of deliberating the possibilities, then that's a great place to be. That's great. Just go after what speaks to you, and find the resources. And so that's what I would say. But if the main thing is, if there's a splinter, get rid of that first, because that will stifle the whole process of refinement.
That's such good advice. Such good advice. And what else? What else do you want to say about New Year's resolutions today? I'm so happy to see you. I mean, it's really, I'm definitely getting the Mercury planet communication challenges today. I can't believe all my technical stuff right now, but
You are
Hopefully
handling
I'll
it
be on
very
here, but
well.
I'm happy to see you. I'm happy we're back. And what else about New Year's resolutions? Any parting words of wisdom or anything that you want to share still?
Yeah, I mean, there was a there's a guy in a hospital bed back in the old days. There were actually two of them in the room, sharing a room, and one of the guys was able to sit up, and the other gentleman, because he had a blood issue, they were keeping him lateral, and so he couldn't. He was he was just lying, staring at the ceiling, and they were both pretty sick. But one guy was able to sit up, and he used to look out the window, and he used to tell the other guy all the beautiful things that were going on outside. He'd look out into the park and had a beautiful view over. There was a bay, and he would say, "Oh, there are people windsurfing. There are people walking arm in arm. There are children laughing." And that would, and the guy who couldn't sit up was lying in the bed, and he would just see that in his mind's eye. And that type of, and this went on for like 4 or 5 weeks that they were together. They met in the hospital. They both were assigned the same room. Went on for a while, and he got to the point where he would always look forward to when that guy would look out the window and portray a very graphic, colorful image of all of life that was going on outside, and that really inspired him. He used to look forward to those all the time. And one night when he was sleeping, he had heard a little bit of commotion in the room during the night, and a lot of the nurses and doctors had came into the room. And when he woke up, he realized that the person that he had been living with in the room had passed during the night. And he was like, "I got to look out that window. I just got to look out that window." And he tried the first day, but he didn't have the strength, and he couldn't do it the first day. So he told the nurse, "Move my bed to where his bed used to be, so that way I'm a little closer to the window. When I get the strength, I'll be able to look out." And they moved him, and within a couple days, he gathered the strength, and he looked out the window, and bam, out that hospital window was a brick wall. Nothing. But we cultivate visions. Sometimes we think that when we're not in a great space, there may not be much to see. But if we tap into that mind and creativity, we can inspire ourselves and we can inspire others and create that vision. And we never forget how much that type of optimistic, positive vision it has on what effect it has on you and those around you. And that's a great way to march into the new year, to inspire, to never let the mundane become mundane, to always make the mundane sublime. And that's what the yogic path is about, to make the ordinary extraordinary. And we do that with our minds, with our inspiration, with the desire to achieve and learn new things. And if we walk forward with that type of initiative and we share that with others, then good things are bound to happen.
That's such a beautiful story. I love it. I love it. I'm
Yeah,
so happy to have you back, Satyam. It's really, really good to be back, and it's a brand new year for us here.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of topics. This was kind of open-ended. We have a lot of very practical topics coming up for those who feel like they're too stiff to do yoga. How do you do it? How to move ahead? I think we've got something with Buddhist principles and life teachings. So we've got a lot of topics coming up, and I'm looking forward to just going one after another each month and sharing those as we move ahead.
Me too. Me too. And you guys can find Satyam's information just down in the show notes. Satyam, you want to share your website for audio today?
Oh, sure. Ren Yoga, WWWRENYOGA, which is short for Renaissance Yoga. We've got a very active website, live classes, all different types of things, all sorts of free resources on the site, meditations, different things. So come on, and if you stop over, send me a short note. I respond to everything.
Awesome. Well, Satyam, it's just a pleasure being with you this morning. And to everybody who's watching, thank you so much for being a part of this. And I apologize for all the technical issues, but we persevered and made it happen anyways. So thank you for your patience with me, and so much love to you, Satyam. So much love to everybody. Happy New Year. And we'll be back this week, actually, with our One Heart, One Earth healing clinic on Thursday. And then Satyam is here the first Tuesday of every single month, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having hosting today as always. And I appreciate you don't have any apologies today. You did a magical job on that. Doing that outside, you did beautifully. That was great. This is the way life unfolds. We don't know what's going to happen, but you make the best of every situation. You did a beautiful job. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. So much love. Have an amazing, amazing new year. 2021. Here we are.
Absolutely. Stay well.
Bye,
Namaste.
guys.